Mega producer Kathleen Kennedy confirmed to Empire magazine that Rogue One, a Star Wars story, would not have a sequel. And we, for one, are stoked about it here at Screen Junkies News. I'm Hector Navarro. This is Joe Starr, writer of Honest Trailers, host of Flash and Friends. We've got on the end of the table Mr. Adam Lavick, co-host of Superhero News on YouTube, as well as Cinematic Universe on Hyper RPG. This is your expert panel talking about why it's awesome that Rogue One, a Star Wars story, will not feature a sequel. Gentlemen, let's get into it. Joe, why is that so great?
Because it's a Star Wars story. It's one story. That's the brand. I love it. I love that they're, even though it's kind of a cheat because it is a franchise, within their franchise, they're doing movies that don't have to be a franchise.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Adam.
Agreed. Well, I mean, originally when these things were pitched, they were pitched as Star Wars anthology movies, and I think that they should keep it that way. The Star Wars universe is so vast and so large. I would hate to see just another franchise built off of another standalone movie. I don't want to see 3 Rogue Ones. I just want singular stories in between each saga episode.
One Rogue One.
Exactly. One Rogue One.
Absolutely. Yeah, I for one am so stoked because to me it seems like the story is important. That it was pitched as a story and it's not a committee thinking, well, how can we turn this into a franchise, as so many other movies and franchises, and that's how Hollywood works. I mean, as a comic book guy, I'm always stoked when I hear that a comic book character gets multiple sequels because I'm aware of the source material and I know that there are stories to tell with that character, and I know some of those stories. With Rogue One, this is just pitched by Gary Whitta from ILM,
By
correct?
John Knoll, actually.
By John Knoll.
Yeah.
Was pitched by him as just apparently a one-off story. It, to me, screams that story is key, story is important, and that means that hopefully we're going to get a good quality story in this movie.
Yeah. You know, when I saw Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, I adored that movie, and really the one thing that I was like, about Fantastic Beasts was that I've been told that it's somehow the basis of like 5 more movies.
Right.
Whereas it was a great little one single Harry Potter story movie. And it didn't need the weight of sequels and franchises, and I'm glad they're not going that route with this film.
Yeah, I mean, and this all comes from one paragraph of the opening crawl of episode 4. So this is a perfect lead into that movie. Based on what we're going to talk about next, I feel like it's going to be nearly impossible to make sequels of this.
Why is that, Adam? What a brilliant segue. You're super pro at that.
You guys want to switch seats?
No. No. This is my seat. No.
I got too much work to do.
He got too much work to do. Guys, well, let's start with you, Adam. Why do you think that this story will be impossible to have a sequel follow-up with it?
Well, I think based on the fact, and I know it's hard to kind of, without really getting into this, these characters, as far as we know, do not show up in future movies. They don't show up in episode 4, 5, or 6. No word about them in the sequel trilogy. So I think these characters are really on a suicide mission. I think that at the end of the day, that is the mission. The mission is to get the Death Star plans to try to help the rebellion beat the Empire. And I think that these characters, at some point during the movie, they will realize that. And I think that will allow us to care a lot more about these characters. So when most of them, if not all, meet their demise, that it will have a powerful impact, and we will feel those repercussions and that impact in future Star Wars movies, which would be, episode 4.
Absolutely. Joe, is the crew of Rogue One the real Suicide Squad of this year?
Absolutely. So I've said it before, but it's not a Star Wars movie unless you're ripping off other tropes and films, and Lucas loved Kurosawa, and the universe was built on that guy's films, and this has to be a Seven Samurai movie. This has to be, they're going in, we care about them because they're probably about to get wiped out.
Yeah.
It's got to be what this is, except for Donnie Yen, who can never die because he's always alive in my heart.
That's right. Speaking of characters that can never die, there's already been speculation about certain characters and how these, again, because we didn't see them back in the original trilogy for obvious reasons, but for story reasons, we haven't seen them. But is there a possibility that they could show up in episode 8, episode 9? Let's get into it. People are already making the speculation because the galaxy's a small place. You got another white British woman. Is Jyn Erso the mother of Rey from The Force Awakens and beyond?
I mean, these 2 brunette white women do look very identical.
Very identical. Hector. Very identical. I mean, listen, As soon as John Boyega was cast, everyone was like, "Well, that's Lando's son," because there's only one black family in the galaxy, and now there's only one white British family.
Right.
I think also somehow Obi-Wan is connected, and that explains everything.
I mean, I know that the riddle of Rey is an actual thing. I still wish it wasn't. I wish she just existed and was cool and was fine.
Yeah.
But obviously, people want to solve puzzles. So any new character Star Wars is going to throw at us, we're going to go, how is she a Skywalker or how is she a Solo? Because those are the only important families in the galaxy in Star Wars.
Exactly.
I think it leads to a lot of math. Because you got to look at what are the characters' ages.
The best
roughly.
part about being a Star Wars fan.
Is like,
Let's get into it.
How old can she be?
How old is
Luke?
Jyn in Rogue One? And this is 10 minutes before A New Hope. So Luke is 17, 18.
Luke is 17, 18. That means I would assume that Jyn Erso would probably be around
Mid-20s?
Yeah, like
Maybe early
21 to
20s?
25. So she'd be a little bit older.
Has the gravitational pull of her planet affected her age?
Time is relative.
Good question, Joe. I'm not sure.
We're all just doing impressions of Conan O'Brien.
Yeah,
being an
pretty
impression of a nerd, right? That's what that is.
But
Right.
I mean, I think it's a fair speculation. I think the timelines could kind of match
if not
up.
mother, grandmother. If not, I mean,
Possibly because it's 32 years from Jedi to Force Awakens, and then you tack on an additional 5 years on top of that between episodes 4 and 6. It's about 37 years. So I think it's possible that she could be her mother. She would have been an older mother, which is nothing wrong with that.
and we don't know how the rules of physics
Right, we don't know
apply
how
in that galaxy far, far away.
I also do people do more like Old Testament-y aging in Star
yeah.
Wars? I don't know.
We know
Yeah.
Chewie does.
Yeah,
True.
Right. So
He
maybe
still looks
maybe
so young.
Jin's got a little Wookiee in her. I don't know. We don't know.
And
what
based
her
on
DNA
certain
is made up of.
revelations from recent books, it's
Catalyst?
It's not impossible. But my whole argument always is that if you are going to build upon the Star Wars universe and you want to expand it and make it bigger and bigger, we don't need to interconnect every single character.
Make it a universe.
Exactly.
Make it a universe. Okay, guys, let's talk about this other fan theory. We have got a fantastic actor named Ben Mendelsohn who's appearing in Rogue One. Okay, and he's playing Orson Krennic.
Not Wells.
Not Wells, but Krennic, who is like the second-hand man to Darth Vader or something. I don't know, but the dude looks slick. The point is there a possibility that Krennic is appearing in a later film? Is there a possibility we've already seen him? Could he be Snoke? Is he Snoke? Is this the
Supreme
theory?
Leader.
The Supreme Leader. That
What do you think,
recruits
Joe?
Kylo Ren.
So, let's get it. Let's explore the theory because I mean, really, anything is possible. Like, who's Rey's mom? Who is Snoke? These are like the big questions everybody wants to ask. And I think I think he's probably just a Tarkin or
No force powers.
Yeah, I don't think any force powers
I'm
in
with
this
you,
guy.
Joe. I'm with you.
Yeah, he's purely just the creepy guy from Bloodline, and that's all he needs to be a really effective Imperial officer.
Yep.
But let's get into the weirdness of this theory so that people start deleting these angry comments.
Okay, great.
Too late.
I think we just did. I mean, what else is there to this theory? Is this is somebody who is force sensitive, a force user, possibly a general or something of Darth Vader?
He has a sweet cape.
Got a sweet cape, and at some point his body becomes destroyed. He gives himself to the dark side. And I mean, do we know if Snoke is force sensitive? That's a
Right.
great question.
Not necessarily. He's
just an old bald guy in a
Yes.
chair who is projecting himself to be bigger than usual, right?
Right. Well, and I think that's the big question is if it would be, I find like that would be very unlikely that Supreme Leader Snoke would not be some sort of force sensitive character if he's training Kylo Ren.
I agree.
If he wants, if he wants Kylo Ren to be brought back to him so he can complete his training, I would imagine that in some form or fashion he has to be force sensitive. Have to have learned how to use the force, wield a lightsaber. Otherwise, what exactly is he training him?
What if he's
What is he
training
learning?
him? What if his years in the Empire has made him a hardened military man, and he creates a special tactical force, some sort of a squad or whatever, like I don't know, a group of knights, for example. And then wait a minute, maybe the Knights of Ren. Hang on a
Krennic?
second.
Knights of-
The guy's name
Wait,
is
what?
Krennic. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Krennic. What if he created the Knights of Ren? It's right there in his name.
And wait,
wait.
his first
Kren?
guy?
The
K-Ren?
Knights of Ren?
Knights?
Kylo Ren?
Whoa.
It's right there.
Oh my
Or-
God. The Knights Who Say Knee? The Knights Who Say Knee?
Are we just connecting movies now?
Did we just connect the Star Wars universe to the Monty Python universe? Did we just do
I think
that?
we might have.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Do we think there's any way to that, guys? That Krennic has something to do with the Knights of Ren or Kylo Ren?
I mean, there is a scene in one of the first teaser trailers where we see some hooded figure kneel down in front of a tank. It's very possible that this character, Orson Krennic, could be some sort of character that keeps himself alive through multiple ways. But I don't know. Do we think it's far-fetched? Do we think we're stretching a little bit? Or do you think that anything at this point is possible?
I mean, and then you look at Snoke it helped them build Starkiller Base, which is a giant planet-killing planet. It's a planet-sized planet-killing thing. Krennic's first name is
Similar to
Orson.
the
Orson
Dark
Welles
Star.
voiced Unicron in Transformers the movie,
my gosh.
which is a planet-sized planet-killing thing. I mean, I think
There's
the
your
evidence
connection right there.
Yeah.
The evidence speaks for itself.
Also,
really does.
you look at a character like Orson Krennic, and he's very much trying to be the best possible that he can be to impress the Emperor. He's trying to be better than Darth Vader. He's trying to outshine Grand Moff Tarkin, who we know will have some sort of a presence at this point. So I wouldn't be completely surprised if we find out that it is Orson Krennic, and he has kind of used Starkiller Base. He's taken on that Emperor role, that Darth Vader role, to continue what the Emperor started to show why he is the greatest villain in the Star Wars universe.
Would Orson Krennic, would he really have to show up then as a villain in Rogue One? Would he really have to blow us all away to get that sort of gravitas for it to make Force Awakens retroactively work and to make future films work? I mean, like, again, I'm going with Joe. To me, he just seems, from the trailer so far, Rogue One, just a military,
very dedicated
Moff
servant
Tarkin
of the Empire.
Guy. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. Let's see. Apparently, hang on, we're getting something in just now. Apparently, Krennic is obsessed with success, as evidenced in the tie-in novel Catalyst. He's obsessed with success, and one of those successes could be to steal Harrison Ford's son.
Right.
That's fair.
Ultimate success.
And in the Marvel Star Wars comics, which I guess are also a part of the new canon, we've seen a lot of those upper level Imperial officers that have all sort of been duking it out.
Yes. Very Game of Thronesy.
Yeah, very Game of Thronesy. So yeah, there's a good chance that this is a guy who steps up and takes a much bigger spot in the future. Rogue One doesn't necessarily need a sequel, but these characters and ideas and stuff can bridge and pop up elsewhere.
Absolutely.
Right. Plus, I think, one of the things that I was mentioning earlier was, if we don't get a Rogue One sequel, I think that it's completely possible to get character spin-offs within that. Beyond the Skywalker kind of saga of 4, 5, 6 and bridging into 7, there's so much. There's like a 37-year history where we could potentially get a Krennic movie that maybe explains what that character was doing, how he was kind of preparing himself to come back after 30 some odd years.
In the same way that we got a Jimmy Smits appearance from the prequel trilogy showing up in Rogue One, who's to say that a Rogue One character can appear in some other sort of a spin-off, maybe the young Han Solo film, maybe whatever other movies they want to make.
And those characters, even from Rogue One, whether it's Orson Krennic or Mon Mothma, could start showing up in things like Rebels. We could get more expansions of their story.
In their comic
books could expand more. I mean, I heard that the James Luceno novel Tarkin gives you a much better understanding who Grand Moff Tarkin is.
That's incredible. Wow. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is Screen Junkies News. That's the internet for you. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. We've given you everything that you could ever possibly want. You guys can be tweeting at us. Are you excited about the fact that Rogue One has no sequel? Do you think it means that it's going to be a suicide mission? Go ahead and comment below, and be sure to be tweeting at us at SJ News. You can always be watching a bunch of cool videos like the ones right here, and we'll be back tomorrow with a bunch of more stuff for Screen Junkies News. Bye.